If your boat has blisters, don't worry. They're not contagious. Hello, I'm JJ with Osprey Marine Restorations, sister company to Annapolis Gelcoat Restorations. Today I'm going to be discussing hull blistering. We're going to discuss what they are, how to prevent them, and how to fix them. Let's go. This is a hull blister. And blistering happens when water penetrates through bottom paint, through the porosity of the gel coat, and then eventually into the fiberglass. It causes something called osmosis, and that will start to break down the chemicals in the gel coat and in the fiberglass and the resins, causing a boat to look what we call have boat pox or blistering. Blisters start out small, basically the size of a pencil head eraser. Left unchecked, they will grow. You'll start to see them eventually the size of a nickel, the size of a quarter. When they start to get the size of a quarter, chances are the blistering is now going into the fiberglass. This is where it starts to get structural. Basically, 1 in 4 boats in its lifetime will have blistering. How bad they are, well, that depends on you. Are we going to take care of it right away, or are we going to neglect it and put it off for another year? Now, preventative care. What do we do to stop the blistering from happening? If you happen to buy a brand new boat, I suggest putting a barrier system on it. Even though the boats built today are superior with resins and gel coats, it's still a good idea to have extra epoxy and bottom paint put on your boat. If you happen to be buying a used boat, I would recommend having the boat soda blasted, having the bottom paint removed, and then putting, again, a barrier system on it, an epoxy barrier. No better way to prevent blisters from happening and keep the value of your boat current. I also recommend hauling your boat out every other year and doing, first of all, a visual inspection of the bottom, done by somebody like myself or a marine surveyor. As soon as the boat is hauled out is the best time to look at it, when if it is blistering, the blisters will be prominent. As the hull will dry, the blisters will actually can go back into the hull where you can't see them. So it's important to have somebody like myself look at the boat visually before the boat, as soon as the boat's hauled out. For those of you living in warmer climates and keeping your boat in the water year-round, I recommend having the boat hauled out, once again, every other year and letting it sit for an extended period of time. This will help the bottom to dry. This will help prevent blistering from happening. So as difficult as this may sound, even though the weather's nice and the temperature is beautiful, haul your boat out and let it sit. So your boat's been hauled out, somebody like myself has looked at it, or a surveyor, and we found blisters. Now what do we do? There's a few things that we can look at. If the blisters are the size of, say, a pencil eraser, that means that the blistering is probably just into the gel coat, and hopefully it's just localized. What we can do is sand and open the blisters, exposing them, letting them dry, and then putting a marine grade below the waterline filler to fill those blisters, and then barrier coat and bottom paint. If it's more severe and the blisters are, say, the size of a quarter, that means they're probably getting into a laminate. That's something a little more severe. The entire gel coat of the boat may have to come off and maybe into the first laminate. If the gel coat just has to come off, you use a gel planer, and we peel all of the gel coat off. After your boat is gel planed and the gel coat is off of the boat, we roll at least 1 coat of resin, put some putty on the bottom, ferret, and then barrier coat it and bottom paint it. That should do for several years. If the blisters are bigger than a quarter, $50 or dollar size, silver dollar size, that undoubtedly means that the blistering is going into the fiberglass, and we're going to have to remove the bad fiberglass. That means peeling deeper to get rid of the bad fiberglass, and then putting fiberglass back on. Usually what we're taking off is chop mat. The chop mat is a filler. It has no real structural integrity. And what we try to put back on is a cloth that has structural integrity. We use a 1708 or an 1808 fiberglass cloth. It has a chop mat back and woven that adds strength and depth. A telltale sign that a blister is doing damage to the fiberglass is if you physically pop the blister with your thumb, you'll smell vinegar. That means that the resins are starting to break down. So if you notice your hull has blisters, it's time to call a professional. And that's me, JJ. You can reach us at either Annapolis Gel Coat Restorations or our sister company, Osprey Marine Restorations. We're here to help.